everyone, how is it going? It's the Fuzz. Custom card number 3 has been concluded. I looked through all the cards. They were pretty good, as always. Now the rules for this contest were 1 mana cost, regardless of aspect, 1 creature, 1 non-creature. So 2 cards from everyone, and 1 creature, 1 non-creature, no deviation. So how I'm going to do this one is, there were 9 submissions total that I consider to be contenders. I'll only go over these ones just to save some time. My criteria was the card had to be, well, each card had to be not trash and not overpowered, somewhere in the middle, and with, you know, fitting art, although art is not like a huge factor. In fact, one of the 9 did not have card art, and it still made it in because it was interesting. And just overall, how cool I think the idea is. It's pretty arbitrary, I know, but hey, I gotta make these decisions somehow. So, of the 9, there are 4 honorable mentions that didn't make it a top 5, but I want to mention anyways, because they introduced something cool, something that made me jump out, or I don't know, some other reason. Anyways, the first honorable mention, we got Lyresis submissions. The first one, Djinn Collector. Whenever you look through your deck, other than Divine Offering, this thing gets buffed. It's kind of cool, actually. It would work with, well, the other Djinn, the Djinn of Wishes. Could also work with something like Call of Jalaya. Interesting idea. It would be interesting to see if something like this could actually work out. The other card is the one that interested me more. Misery. When you sack a creature, gets energy. Once you have 5, you destroy this and you add this card to your hand. Now, unfortunately, Vengeance of the Tormented is absolute trash. But the reason it's an honorable mention is because the idea is interesting, where you play a card, do something, and then you're rewarded with a much bigger and more powerful card. That's pretty cool. Now, problem with the Vengeance of the Tormented is that it's basically Cataclysm. A one-sided Cataclysm for like way more mana and like way more trouble. So, considering what you have to go through to get this, it's not really worth it. Your opponent sacrifices a bunch of creatures, basically wipes their board. But you have to have 4 aspects, Corruption and Dominion. You could just play Cataclysm. So that's why it's only an honorable mention and not in the top 5. Because unfortunately, it doesn't work out. But I like the idea. Moving on to the next honorable mention. We got a Zikrik with his Abyss Bookkeeper card. Well, he has 2. Well, the Night Watch, unfortunately, is way too specific to be, like, really a consideration. It counters instant spells. That's it. Are you really going to run something like this? I don't think so. But this guy, whoops. The Abyss Bookkeeper, this card got me excited. So it's a demon, 1/1 support. At the start of your turn, you gain life equal to the number of demons you control above 2. Now, he's a demon himself, which is a pretty big deal. He's searchable with Portal, which means he'll cost 0 mana when you play him. And he counts himself, so if you have him and 2 other demons, you gain life. Demons love gaining life. They really, really do. So any little life they can get is pretty important. Now, normally, at least the way I ran demons, is that I ran Zombie Legionnaire as a 1-drop. You could run Abyss Bookkeeper instead, and it's not too hard to get a bunch of demons on the board, because you have 2 0-cost demons now between this and Nightbringer, and you're searching 1 every turn for free. So you have a way to gain life besides Succubus, which is dangerous because, you know, demons, if they get enough life, they're unstoppable. But on the other hand, you have to wait a turn. If they kill this, you don't get any life. So if you search for this and play it and they kill it, that really sucks. So, really cool card. I really love the idea, giving demons some love. So, Zikrik gets a mention because one of his cards is awesome. The other, unfortunately, to be perfectly honest, I think this is the single favorite card of the bunch, just because I like demons. So if Zikrik's other card was really good, he would have easily won the contest. But you know what? Gets honorable mention anyways, even with just 1 card. because that's how badass this card is. Anyways, third honorable mention, and by the way, these are not in any order, just honorable mentions. We got Vitamin C with two rather simple looking cards. So the first one is a 1 mana neutral, 0/3, can't attack, and he enters the field with a shield emblem. And the other is just a 1 mana, deal 2 damage to a creature, also neutral. Now, why are these cards even getting mentioned? It's because they are simple, but they're neutral, and they're cards every deck could use. And I think Spellweaver could benefit from a few of these cards. This guy is a great blocker. It's a 0/3 with a shield. Like, this guy's gonna take a while to kill. That's pretty awesome. Like, you can't even fireball this. Like, it can block the power creep ghoul twice before it gets finally killed. It could absorb a lot of damage, and it's available to everyone. That's pretty awesome. Same thing with Mana Blast. It's obviously just a worse Noxious Fumes. Well, not strictly speaking worse because of freeze effects, but usually just a worse Noxious Fumes. But it's available to everyone. It could give you a way to kill something like Flesh Sculptor. That card can be such a pain in the ass if you don't have any removal for it. With Mana Blast, no problem. I'm not saying you should run it in every deck, but you have the option to put this into your deck. So, good honorable mention because introducing the idea of simple but useful neutral cards is something I think the game could benefit from. Well done, Vitamin C. And the last honorable mention goes to Raveneer. Now, Raveneer unfortunately submitted 3 cards, so that's outside of the rules, so that's why I can only give him an honorable mention. That said, the Abyssal Shadow is an incredibly awesome card that would be a very nice buff to mill decks. Whenever a spell is played, that's yours or enemy, decay 2 enemy cards, and then whenever a card is decayed, you can pay a mana to give him a power boost. The colors are right. I think this card would be a great fit in like the Reanimate deck, even because you run spells there, and it might actually convince you to play a real mill deck, not that fake Azurus mill deck that actually usually ends up just killing you through burn and not really through milling you. So really good card. It would make mill decks possibly viable. I mean, just look at this guy. You play him on 1. If he gets removed by a spell, that's already 2 mil. If not, hey, you're gonna play some spells yourself. This guy could easily mill like 8 or 10 cards by himself in the course of a game. Nice card. Although having several of these on the board does seem a little bit terrifying. Okay, so if we're gonna ignore the other creature because I think it's less cool than this one, the spell, it's a little bit ridiculous. The idea is interesting, but the fact that you can, okay, the wording is not very clear. What I believe he means is you can lose X life and then create any spell you want with a combined mana cost and level equal to X, and then you put it into your hand. And it's a summoned spell, so you can't copy it with Reflector or anything. The problem is, how would developers ever go about designing a card like this? They would have to give you an interface where you can choose any spell you want. That seems like a real pain in the ass, honestly. And also, it seems like a little bit overpowered. You can get any spell you want. You can get Outbreak, you can get Test of Time, you can get Ancient Wisdom, Flash Freeze, Power Discharge, Enslave, Grand Reunion, Prosperous Ruling, and it's a neutral card. You can't be serious. It says the spell requires level of any aspect. Now, again, it doesn't say you have to have the aspects to actually get the spell. You have to have the aspects to play the spell. But man, just being able to conjure up whatever you want, that seems absolutely crazy. It's kind of a fun idea, but no, let's be real here. So that's it for the honorable mentions. We've got top 5 entries into this tournament. Let's get rolling. Number 5, we've got Lloyd. So this is the one I was talking about that didn't have art, and that's really the main reason why it's number 5. But hey, no art and still got to top 5. That means the cards must be awesome, right? So first one, Luxia's Chosen One. It's a 1/1 with 2 speed. Whenever you play a Blessing spell, put a Might Emblem on him. That's pretty cool. And then at the start of your turn, you can remove one emblem to give something a shield. Really awesome synergy for like the blessing deck, which we never really got, unfortunately. And this would be pretty good. Like, this is a simple one drop that can get pretty powerful with some blessings. Now, hopefully it wouldn't get out of control. You play it on turn 1, then you follow up with a bunch of blessings. But I don't think so. But it's something that would be worth experimenting with. Just a really good card. Encourages you to play blessings. To go with it, we've got a blessing. A 1-mana blessing. Perfect. When you attach it to something, it gets a shield emblem. And then it has the ability to gain +1/1 and unblockable for 1 mana. So very powerful blessing, actually. And of course, the idea is to use Sunblessed Emissary. You can play Sunblessed Emissary, give her this for 0 and redraw. And then if you have this dude on the board, he gets a buff. So these two cards really give the blessing theme a really nice boost. And it's good because when we saw the Sunblessed Emissary, we had some high hopes for that card, but nothing really ever materialized because we didn't get any like really good blessings except the Ancient Expedition or whatever it's called, but that's not really that good. So hey, good job for trying to make one aspect, one theme, if you will, better. To be perfectly honest, if Zoid had added some really sweet art, this could easily have been number 2 or in contention for number 1. So very close, but good effort. You clearly know how to make interesting cards. Number 4, got Jabix coming to us with some wolves and this little card, Cloning Experiment. Basically, you copy, it's instant, but not that it really matters. You copy a friendly creature with mana and level equal to 4 or less, and you put it into your hand. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool because it gives you, it's almost like a Tornado Outbreak without bouncing the creature back. It stays on the board, but you get a copy into your hand as well. That's neat. The limit on the levels and such is a bit sad, but it's probably to prevent people from like copying Karthus and replaying it, or copying Stormfarer and replaying that, which would be really lame. But it's a really cool card because it's flexible, and 1 mana instant spell with a lot of flexibility. That's really awesome. Wonder what kind of decks you could come up with. Oh, this is some really weird art. I guess it's appropriate. And then we've got, now there's 2 cards here, but this one is I assume not collectible. Basically, you play Rotten Wolf, right? And Rotten Wolf has the ability to transform into this. So it's 1 card. So Rotten Wolf, it's basically a 1/1 1-speed zombie wolf. If you have 3 aspects, you can transform him into this. And this one is a 3/2 lifebound. It takes half damage in creature combat. So it's kind of like a 3/4 with lifebound. The only one of the reasons why this is a little scary is because of Hartsford, because you could bring this back and it'd be like a 2/2 sort of lifebound. That's pretty good for Hartsford. Now, also, what I really like about this card is that it introduces a really neat idea of just like transforming. Okay, it's not brand new. We've seen this with, what's he called? Carr, right? But I just like this idea of like creatures transforming into more awesome creatures if you meet some requirements. And this one is not too tough. Now, you cannot Hartsford this because it would just die. It's a 1/1. And I think this shows just how dangerous Hartsford is as a creature, because if you make any like good zombies, then Hartsford just can bring them back. And that's terrifying. Like, even this one, it has a 2/1 with Lifebound, is already really good for you to have. So maybe Hartsford is a card we should look at. But yeah, I would like to see more cards that transform into other cards, because they can serve as like early game and late game. Now, that said, this is not a great early game card because it's got 1 speed. But we don't want this to be a 2/2. We don't want any more zombie legionnaires. Thank goodness. Also, these are wolves. That's synergy with Wolf Tongue. I suppose if this was a real card, it'd be interesting to play with Wolf Tongue, but probably not because it's a 3-aspect card and it's double corruption. Anyways, moving on to number 3, we've got Yada over here with 2 very interesting cards. First up, we've got Bone Wark, a giant wall made out of bone. 0 ? And the question mark is its HP is equal to the number of creatures in all graveyards, and it's immune to deadly. The immunity to deadly, it's so that it doesn't die for free to like a bullshit 1/2 assassin with deadly. So that's smart design there. Anyways, this thing could be absolutely monstrous because if you mill even a few creatures, this could just make a 0/5, 0/6. It seems like a really nice fit in a black-blue mill deck because you could play it on... Oh, you can't actually play it on one because it would die. But with the Void Touch Subordinate, you can start milling some cards. With other effects, you can start milling cards. And you could easily play this as like a 0/5 that your opponent just cannot get through because it's a 0/5 and it's only going to get bigger. So solid defensive card. It's weird that it's in Corruption because Corruption doesn't really want a card like this. But hey, if a Corruption control deck ever came about, Bone Wark could definitely make a cut there. Cool card. Now the other card is the more interesting one. For such a short effect, it really made me think. So for each creature that dies this turn, you get 1 mana and you gain 1 life. So it's a ramp card, right? If you play Cataclysm and you play this, you gain all your mana back. Well, probably, depending on how many creatures you kill, but probably all your mana back and a bunch of life. That's really cool. Is it overpowered? I honestly don't know. I was looking at this card and trying to figure out some ways to play it, and I could definitely see some potential in it, but not in any, like, immediately offhand way. Because it's 3 aspects, it's a little bit clunky. I mean, just think about it. You trade in one creature into another one, they both die, you can play this, you gain 2 life, and you basically ramped 1 mana. Could also work with the Spoils of War, right? You just, a bunch of creatures died, you can play this and Spoils of War. Spoils of War redraws everything, and you gain some life. Could be something interesting there. I think this card, you know, despite having literally a line and a half of text, really makes me think, and that's pretty impressive. So, impressive work, Mr. Yada. Yes, you were more than a contender this time. Well done. Moving on to number 2, and I'll be honest with you, at this point, deciding between like 1, 2, and 3 was really tough. So again, you could almost just call it like a 3-way tie for first. Whatever. But I have to pick a winner, right? Number 2. We've got Crazy Beeble here with his first card, Energy Cube, and I think I've seen this before. This looks like the Tesseract from the Avengers, if I'm wrong. I don't know. If not that, I'm sure I've seen it somewhere. So it's a legendary artifact. You can exhaust it to give 1 energy to something, very much like Reactor, and then you can sack it to get 1 mana this turn. It's good that it's legendary because otherwise it'd be pretty overpowered. Because the thing about the Reactor is that if you have too many of them, they'll all just eventually blow up. But with multiple energy cubes, you could just stack energy infinitely. So because it's legendary, you can't do that. It's another way to gain energy, which is really cool. Energy decks are cool. It'd be cool if they got more support. And the other effect is really nice too. You can ramp a little bit. It's a cool card. Very, very brief. Very nice art. It actually looks like an energy cube. Spot on, my friend. Cool card overall. Next, we got Goblin Archer. So, at a glance, this looks like power creep over Disciple of Zash. And maybe in a way it is, but it is a dual color, which is really just interesting. So, it's a 0/1 support. Pay 1 mana and exhaust him to deal 1 damage to an enemy creature. Can't go face. And if he destroys a creature, you may pay 1 more mana to put a Mind Emblem on it. It's actually really neat. So yeah, it's a Disciple of Zash that costs 1 mana instead of 2. That is a big deal. Because you can do the 1 damage ping on turn 3 and like pick off annoying ass goblins. So I feel like maybe a creature like this should be legendary. Because one of the reasons Disciple of Zash is really obnoxious is because you have several of them. And if they didn't die, then you can just like start killing 2 health creatures and then 3 health creatures, and it gets stupid. So I think with a legendary tag on this dude, we'd have a really sweet card on our hands. It's got some ping potential, works well with freeze effects if you can run the 3 colors, and it can even grow a little bit. Now, it's gonna have to kill a couple creatures to actually grow, but it's really cool. I actually really like this card. And yeah, I do think it's better than Disciple of Zash. But it's not strictly superior because it's not a shaman and it cannot go face. But I think it is a better card than Disciple of Zash. Oh well. And then number 1, and to be perfectly honest, I could have just as easily given it to this one, but I have to pick a winner, and it's like, but actually, just hold a moment. So, Crazy Beeble actually will be the person to announce the next theme, because the winner was Why is Chaos again? And I don't want the same person to be picking like the same, like a theme again. So Crazy Beeble as second place is given the right to choose the next theme. But YC Chaos impressing us again with some cool cards. Eternal Hunter, blue and green. It's a 2/2 with 4 speed at 1 mana. It seems a bit OP. But at the end of your turn, if your opponent has less than 10 life, they gain control of this. So it's actually really cool. The reason I like this idea is because it's like it's an overpowered 1-drop that becomes bad if you are trying to be aggressive with it, because, well, your opponent's gonna take them from you. That's not what you want, right? And based on how Mistress of Shadow works, probably when they take it from you, they can attack with it. So that could end up really badly. So it's supposed to be a defensive 1-drop, and that's fine. Normally 1-drops with 2 attack I don't like, but if it is an effect like this that makes it bad when you are too aggressive with it, that's really cool. That's spot on. That actually almost completely defies my original theory, where I just thought all 1 mana 2 attack 1-drops, but look, the 1 mana creatures are just bad. But YC Chaos managed to design one that's not like that. It's still probably good, but I mean, if you try to be aggressive with it, then your opponent's gonna eventually take it, right? And it's not that much more aggressive than like a Zombie Legionnaire, except that you can't really attack it. But at the downside is that your opponent's gonna, it's gonna get removed for free, and then your opponent's gonna steal it. So that's awesome. I really like this idea. Well done. The other card is also really cool, Mystic Recall. It's basically like a Tornado Outbreak on your creature only, but when you do it, you get to search for a nature or wisdom creature with converted mana cost, or just mana cost, 2 or less, and put it into your hand. So it's basically a Call of Jalaya rolled into a modified Tornado Outbreak as an instant. This is really awesome. It's a card that's not, like, if you compare it to Call of Jalaya, right, you can't play it on turn 2 because you have to have something to bounce in your hand. So it's not strictly better than Call of Jalaya. It can search for wisdom creatures, which is awesome, but it requires a bit more finagling. That said, you can use it to protect your own creature. You can use it to reuse an effect. If you just want a Tornado Outbreak to bounce your own library guards and replay it for card draw, you can do that. So the card is actually really sweet because it's multi-purpose, and it's not immediately obvious how you want to use it. Yes, it's card advantage in many ways, but it's not straight up better than Tornado Outbreak, even though it has an additional effect. And also, you can only bounce your own creature, so no bouncing enemy creatures. That would be probably overpowered. If you could bounce an enemy creature and search for something, that would be silly. So, great card. 2 really good cards, honestly. And that's why YC Chaos gets the reward. I think they work very well. And especially the Mystic Recall, but really both of these cards I'd love to see added to the game. So well done, YC Chaos. You've done it again. How did you do it? You won 2 contests in a row. This guy is unstoppable. Holy crap. So yeah, declare the theme. Oh no, not you. Crazy Bauble. Declare the theme for the next contest. Unless he decides to let Chaos have it again. But otherwise, we want somebody different each time declaring the themes. But well done, Chaos. Very impressive. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.